Hailes Abbey was one of the many Cistercian abbeys found across England. The Cistercian is an order of Catholic monks spread across Europe. Now, the abbey itself is situated in the Cotswolds, an area in England famous for its stonework and natural beauty, where you can get lost in the rolling green plains and hills. The abbey is hidden away like a lost gemstone, which is actually what the monks wanted, to be far away, where they could focus on their monastic duties. The abbey was founded in 1246 by Richard, Earl of Cornwall, the brother of King Henry III. Richard was a wealthy man thanks to his earldom of Cornwall, generating him plenty of revenue. Enough to found an abbey, and he founded it because he had prayed to God for help as he was fearful he would die during a turbulent storm while at sea. And to praise and thank God, Richard showed his piety by founding the abbey. Although sadly, little remains of the abbey today, thanks to a certain King of England, but I'll get into that later. With the abbey's foundation in 1246, which is in the High Middle Ages, the abbey's subsequent consecration in 1251 was now in the Late Middle Ages, a true testament of later medieval building techniques that the abbey could be built in that space of time, as Richard donated an amount of 10,000 marks to build the abbey, which is equivalent to roughly £5 million or $6 million. The abbey was highly decorated, with carved floor tiles and stonework depicting biblical figures, and like any good abbey, it needed attractions to bring in pilgrims. One relic the abbey had was reportedly the blood of Christ, donated by Richard's son Edmund. Now, in our 21st century cynical view, we can probably guess the blood is fake, but during the abbey's heyday, the blood would have been the main attraction for pilgrims. The relic wasn't the only source of revenue for the abbey, as the area was perfect for raising sheep. English wool was quite important to the English economy in the Middle Ages. But back to the abbey. It had various rooms all serving different functions, with more rooms being constructed over the centuries. Little remains of those buildings now, only foundation stoneworks and the earth mounds, although the abbey has some impressive use of water redistribution engineering, which is still visible today. There's a silly stereotype that the Middle Ages was this unhygienic, dirty age where people never bathed. This is completely false, and the waterworks here show how the monks stayed clean and drank and used clean water from the nearby man-made lake, which the monks had dammed to create, which brought in fresh clean water into the surrounding area and into several small fish ponds where the water would be used in the abbey kitchens. And so impressive was this water system that it ran through into a latrine, a type of toilet, washing any filth via a stone culvert away. You can still see the drain in action, an impressive feat of medieval technology. Despite this rather clean image, it did not stop the Black Death from reaching the abbey. Despite it being nested in the Cotswold, the Black Death eventually reached the abbey. The abbey's chronicles tell us about the impact the Black Death had. Greater plague on earth, that every 3 man scarcely 1 remained. The plague is said to have wiped out a high amount of monks in the area. The infirmary in the abbey must have been a horrifying sight during this time, as before the plague, the infirmary would have been used by the sick or monks that had been through bloodletting. Bloodletting was done as a way of purifying oneself or for other health benefits. Sadly, most parts of the building are now just earth mounds. The kitchen, library, dormitory, and even the tombs and funerary monuments were destroyed, as the abbey housed the remains of its founder, Richard, Earl of Cornwall, and his wives and sons. Richard was a powerful and rich man during his time, and even became King of the Romans, a powerful position in the Holy Roman Empire. His epitaph reads, "Here lies entombed Richard, King of Germany, who while living was content with his good fortune, offspring of the King of the English, formerly Count of Poitou, and later Earl of Cornwall. Latterly, by generous gift of the Romans, he was honoured with the golden crown of Charlemagne. Thus he displayed the eagle on his shield with the lion rampant. Preeminent among kings of all races for moderation, worldly wealth, wisdom, goodwill, modesty, and in all acts of mediation, all his life a man of probity, now exchanging rule of an earthly kingdom for a better realm. May he be gathered with honour to the highest place in the kingdom of heaven. Now, if you're a fan of English history, you'll know why the abbey no longer stands: the dissolution of the monasteries, or the destruction of the monasteries. Henry VIII broke away from the Catholic Church for many reasons, which I'm not going to cover in this video, but long story short, many abbeys, churches and monasteries were stripped of everything. Hailes Abbey was just one of hundreds. The historical reforms of the Catholic Church at the time is justified. My grievance comes from a 21st century perspective of I cannot visit these sites in their heyday, which is a great shame. Although regarding Hailes Abbey, one interesting story involving the blood of Christ relic was that the blood was taken from the abbey and denounced as a fake relic lined with saffron, which again is justified. Regardless of the state of the abbey now, it is still worth a visit to explore and understand the history of the place. So if you ever find yourself visiting the Cotswolds, make sure Hailes Abbey is one place you visit. And as a bonus, there is also Hailes Church, which has some amazing Middle Ages wall paintings.